Test. The minimum viable product, the MVP, helps entrepreneurs start the process of learning as quickly as possible with the minimum amount of effort, contrary to traditional development. Why first products aren't meant to be perfect? First of all, we are embarrassed when our product was still low quality. Secondly, we are proud of our business results. You also want to sell your product to adopters, who are people that want to be the first on using your product. Take advantage with something that competitors don't have. The vision for entrepreneurs is make a product that will change the world. Most products are overestimated. Entrepreneurs need to check how the customer reacts to the product and then build the product not backwards, because it will be an avoidable expense. The lesson of an MVP is that any additional work is a waste. Techniques from actual lean startups. Make a list of the necessary things you need. Secondly, feedback from customers. Demonstrate the function of your product with lean startup techniques. Other technique is to make an elaborate service with the knowledge of other people. You have to interview people. Then you need to make a sale. Some will buy but others won't. You need to know what customers want and need. To traditional criteria, this is a terrible system and a waste of time because they have no tangible progress. But with Lean Startup, you'll make a monumental progress because you learn more and more what is required. Finally, you have to invest in the product.
Pay no attention to the 8 people behind the curtain. Meet Max Ventila and Damon Horowitz, technologists with a vision to build a new type of search software designed to answer the kinds of questions that befuddle state-of-art companies such as Google. Google befuddled? Think about it. Google and its peers excel at answering factual questions. What is the tallest mountain in the world? Who was the 23rd president of the United States? But for more subjective questions, Google struggles. Ask, what's a good place to go out for a drink after the ball game in my city? And the technology flails. What interesting about this class of queries is that they are relatively easy for a person to answer. Imagine being at a cocktail party surrounded by friends. How likely would you be to get a high-quality answer to your subjective question? You almost certainly would get one. Unlike factual queries, because these subjective questions have no single right answer, today's technology struggles to answer them. Such questions depend on the person answering them, his or her personal experience, taste, and assessment of what you're looking for. To solve this problem, Max and Damon created a product called Artwork. With their deep technical knowledge and industry experience, it would have been reasonable to expect them to dive in and start programming. Instead, they took 6 months to figure out what they should be building. But they didn't spend that year at the whiteboard strategizing or engage in a lengthy market research project. Instead, they built a series of functioning products, each designed to test a way of solving this problem for their customers. Each product was then offered to beta testers, whose behavior was used to validate or refute each specific hypothesis. Max and Damon had a vision that computers could be used to create a virtual personal assistant to which their customers could ask questions. Because the assistant was designed for subjective questions, the answers required human judgment. Thus, the early Artwork experiments tried many variations on this theme, building a series of prototypes for ways customers could interact with the virtual assistant and get their questions answered. All the early prototypes failed to engage the customers. As Max describes it, We self-funded the company and released very cheap prototypes to test. What became Aardvark was the sixth prototype. Each prototype was 2 to 4 week effort. We used humans to replicate the back and end as much as possible. We invited 100 to 200 friends to try the prototypes and measured how many of them came back. The results were unambiguously negative until Aardvark. Because of the short timeline, none of the prototypes involved advanced technology. Instead, they were MVPs designed to test a more important question. What would be required to get customers to engage with the product and tell their friends about it? Once we choose Aardvark, Ventila says, we continue to run with humans replicating pieces of backend for 9 months. We hired 8 people to manage queries, classify conversations, etc. We actually raised our seeds and series, rounds before the system was automated. The assumption was that the lines between humans and artificial intelligence would cross, and we at least proved that we were building stuff people would respond to.
Speed bumps in building an MVP. Building an MVP is not without risks, both real and imagined. Both can derail a startup effort unless they are understood ahead of time. The most common speed bumps are legal issues, fears about competitors, branding risks, and the impact on morale. For startups that rely on patent protection, there are special challenges with releasing an early product. In some jurisdictions, the window for filing a patent begins when the product is released to the general public, and depending on the way the MVP is structured, releasing it may start this clock. Even if your startup is not in one of those jurisdictions, you may want international patent protection and may wind up having to abide by these more stringent requirements. In many industries, patents are used primarily for defensive purposes, as a deterrent to hold competitors at bay. In such cases, the patent risks of an MVP are minor compared with the learning benefits. However, in industries in which a new scientific breakthrough is at the heart of the company's competitive advantage, these risks need to be balanced more carefully. In all cases, entrepreneurs should seek legal counsel to ensure that they understand the risks fully. Traditional product development methods are trained to make go-kill decisions on a regular basis. That is the essence of the waterfall or stage-gate development model. If an MVP fails, teams are liable to give up hope and abandon the project altogether, but this is a solvable problem. The solution of this dilemma is a commitment to iteration. You have to commit to a locked-in agreement ahead of time that no matter what comes of testing the MVP, you will not give up hope. Successful entrepreneurs do not give up at the first sign of trouble, nor do they persevere the plane right into the ground. Instead, they possess a unique combination of perseverance and flexibility. The MVP is just the first step on a journey of learning. Down that road, you may learn that some element of your product or strategy is flawed and decide it is time to make a change, which I call a pivot, to a different method of achieving your vision.